Hey solos, so you're going to Walt Disney World all by yourself and you want to know if you should go and spend some time at the Contemporary Resort, either to stay and look around or just stay and sleep. Well, solo spoiler, I think it's a great place to go and hang out and potentially to stay as well. And in this episode, I'm going to talk all about it. Hi everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do. And welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. In this episode, we are continuing our deluxe summer by talking about the Contemporary Resort. Now, if you have listened to my podcast before, you know that I'm a Virgo. You know I like themes. You know I like things that are logically ordered. And so I'm going to just be completely honest to let you know that putting the Contemporary Resort on this week is not what I had planned, and nor when I look back at the summer programming playlist, I'm going to be happy with. But it just makes the most logical sense. And that's because of a couple of surprises that are coming in August. And so rather than stay tight to the plan that I had, I am being flexible. As I said that, my whole Virgo soul just kind of shuddered. I'm being very flexible, and I'm like, let's just get our deluxe episodes out, and they don't need to be in any logical order. Of course they don't. Please, thoughts and prayers at this time. So we're going to talk about the Contemporary Resort, which is a really fun resort, and I can't wait to share it with you. So we've already covered Boardwalk and Yacht Club and Beach Club. Those episodes were earlier this month, so please make sure you go and listen to those if you haven't already. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. And I haven't been very good about updating any of that stuff lately. There's just, the summer gets really, really busy. But what's really cool about this episode and all the episodes that are deluxe episodes is that I'm also featuring a solo story at the end of this episode about somebody who's actually stayed at the Contemporary. So you can find all of their social media and all of that below. And it's been really awesome to connect with all these people and hear about their stories. And the one that we're doing this week is just really great because her memories of Contemporary go back so long. So anyway, I can't wait for you to hear that. My social media, Francine's social media, all below. Please make sure you follow us. This podcast also has a Patreon, and so you can go and check that out as well. If you want to watch Francine and I chat about the Contemporary, that is one of the perks that you get as a Patreon member. You can watch our conversation. You can also hear a reflection on this particular episode. I haven't recorded it yet. I'm trying to decide whether or not to let you in on the secrets of August. I don't think so. I just undersold the Patreon membership. I'm not going to tell you any of the secrets. I will tell you the secrets, just not yet. Anyway, there's a reflection on all the episodes. The reflections are kind of like mini episodes too, where I talk about a whole bunch of different topics. And there is actually a bonus episode on Patreon that went up on Friday. It's about pixie dusting. So again, you can be a 7-day free trial member. And that'd be a really great way to support the podcast and get some extras and all of that stuff. You can listen to this on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. All of that. It really, really helps the algorithm to get into the feeds of people that might be interested in Disney Solo Magic, and especially on YouTube because I don't know, it just seems so sad there all alone. When we get to 100 subscribers, and thank you for those 1 and 2 and 3, just those, all those little subscribers. Thank you. A little but mighty, but powerful. Thank you so much. When we get to 100, I'll do a whole video episode where you can all see my little face talking about all things Disney. All right. I think that's it. Let's get into it. Contemporary. Okay, so full disclosure, I wouldn't say that Contemporary had been, past tense, one of my favorite resorts because I think I found it really outdated. But as I've gotten older, and also probably because of the renovation that they went through a couple years ago, I've really come to enjoy the Contemporary a lot more for its retroness. In fact, and this might get a little too deep in this particular episode. But in fact, I really love the Contemporary for the way that it tells a story about Disney that is like the way it tells a particular story about the initial aims and hopes and vision for Walt Disney World from the 1970s. Now, if you are not interested in haunted places or you're not interested in history or you're not interested in like architecture and all that stuff, it's not in your face so much. But if you are, I really like to do this mental mapping of the Contemporary when I am there to really think about, again, the things that were planned. The things that were planned and the things that went through, and then just kind of how things have changed and morphed and all of that stuff. In fact, it's one of the places at Disney that I just wish there were more photographs and stories and things like that related to those early days in the 1970s about this particular resort. And you can find things online, but like I said with the last two deluxe resorts, the history and the curation of these particular hotels are not as prominent as they should be. So much thought goes into so much of the Disney World properties, but there isn't the same articulation of that thought, of that history, of that curation. And I just think the Contemporary is one of those resorts that I just feel like it's just a place that really holds a particular memory of Disney. And I just really think it's special because of that. And when we go and talk to Francine at the end of this episode for the solo story, I didn't plan this at all, but she talks about some of that early history too, which I thought was really great. But before we get into talking about Contemporary, let's talk about the Disney World categories for the hotels. I didn't talk about this last time, but let me just do a quick summary of it right now. So Disney has 3.5 different categories of hotels. There's Value, which counts as all of the All-Stars, Pop Century, and Art of Animation. There are Moderates, which is Port Orleans Riverside, Port Orleans French Quarter, the Caribbean Beach, and Coronado. And then there are the Deluxe resorts. The Deluxe resorts are the most expensive, and they're also the closest to all of the parks. So there's no way ever period, that you would ever be able to walk to Magic Kingdom from All-Star Sports or from the Coronado. Impossible. However, with the deluxe resorts, except for one, which is Animal Kingdom, you can get to at least one of the parks really conveniently. So with the Contemporary Resort, you can walk to Magic Kingdom, which is such a coup. It's so amazing. You also have the monorail. I'll talk about that in a second. But the deluxe resorts, again, one of the benefits is the proximity to at least one of the parks. The reason why Animal Kingdom isn't walkable to one of the parks is because of the savannah. So like the Animal Kingdom Lodge has its own savannah, just like Animal Kingdom Park has its own savannah. And so because they need all that space for the animals and to take care of the animals, you can't just easily walk to the park. So even though that is a deluxe resort, I don't blame it. I don't harbor any ill feelings towards Animal Kingdom Lodge for the fact that you can't walk to a park. So all the other ones you can. Disney also has something called deluxe villas, and that's what I consider like the half category. I said there's 3.5 categories. The deluxe villas are a part of the Disney Vacation Club. That is the timeshare program. So Disney Vacation Club, or DVC. Now there are some hotels that are really like mainly DVC hotels. I'm thinking of Old Key West and Saratoga Springs. However, a lot of the deluxe resorts, regular deluxe resorts, also have DVC, Disney Vacation Club, areas to it, sections to it. And Contemporary is one of those resorts. So if you were going to book a deluxe hotel, for example, you might be given the option to book the regular rooms or the deluxe villa rooms. The reason why they're called deluxe villa rooms is because if you are doing timeshare, the idea is that you are like renting out a whole villa. I use villa very loosely because they use villa very loosely. When I hear villa, I think of a standalone house. When Disney uses villa, they do not mean that. I mean, there are a few standalone buildings, but generally what they mean is that it's a more kind of home-like type room with a kitchen or a kitchenette. Some of the bigger suites have laundry facilities right in them, things like that. So if you were going to book it as a solo, sure, you could book a 1-bedroom. I mean, hell, book a 2-bedroom if you can afford it. But mainly what you'd be booking is a studio or a deluxe studio. And that is really similar to a regular room in terms of size and what you get. So I find it kind of confusing. And so you might find it confusing too. But if you are a solo and you wanted to stay, like if you were a solo and that you were going to Contemporary Resort and they had like a standard room or they had a deluxe studio, they are the same type of thing. They're the same type of thing. I mean, they're different, but it's not like you would be walking in and there would be 14 beds and all this stuff. No, it's basically 1 bed, a pull-out couch, etc. I think a studio would feel very tight with 4 people, whereas in a lot of the standard rooms, if you have 4 people, like 2 people in each one of those queen beds, you'd feel tight, but it wouldn't be terrible. I think everyone can kind of envision what that would feel like. I think that the deluxe studios, they're all a little different size. It could feel a little bit squishier. However, if I'm wrong, let me know. Speaking of being wrong, it's been really great to get people's feedback on the different episodes. So, for example, people have told me when I said that the boardwalk isn't that happening. Some people said that yes, it does get busier at night, especially during the food festivals. So that's wonderful. I talked about Beaches and Cream last time and said like, it's fine. I've never been there, but it's fine. I would much rather go to any of their fancier restaurants. People have told me that it is excellent and I should not disparage it. So that is totally fine as well. Go check it out, all of that stuff. Also, I did mention that Beaches and Cream, which is attached to the Yacht Club and Beach Club resorts, Beaches and Cream have a takeout window for ice cream. Just this past week, they have taken away getting a full sundae from that window. You can only just get like more basic ice cream. So there you go. But let's now move over to Contemporary. Geez, solos, as I started this episode, I do just really want to start with a lot of history. I'm gonna try not to do too much history, although you can let me know if you want more history, and then, woo, you will regret that decision. Okay, so when Disney opened in 1971, it opened with 2 hotels, and Contemporary was one of them. Polynesian was the other. And so this Contemporary resort was contemporary in 1971. The fact that the monorail went right through the hotel, oh my gosh. Like the stuff of future dreams, you know what I mean? Like just how exciting was that? The Contemporary also was a hotel that was meant to again, be like cool and futuristic, but also it was also very much grounded in the way people were going to Florida for vacations. So even though people kind of think of the Contemporary Resort, the front of it, as facing Magic Kingdom, facing like the parking lot, the front of the hotel was really designed to be the other side, the side that doesn't face Magic Kingdom, the side that faces the natural lake. So the lake, the lake that Contemporary faces is Bay Lake. That is a natural lake. That lake has been there for a very long time. That island that you see there, that's Discovery Island. Actually, I mean, it was named Discovery Island by Disney, but actually a family lived there until they started building Disney World. So all the way up until the late 60s, a family lived on that island. Also, as of last summer, at least, there was a doe that lived on that island by herself with her fawn. And the boat captain from the boat at Fort Wilderness was telling me, they were like, yeah, we weren't quite sure how she got pregnant, but we just assumed that she swam across to Fort Wilderness and found a stag there. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Number 1, deer live on that island? That's amazing. Number 2, deer swim? That's amazing. I don't know. I just, Disney is just very, very nature-y. And so like in these kind of original areas, you can feel it a lot more. Okay, so anyway, I just want to talk about all these other like little tidbits. Okay, so Contemporary Resort faces Bay Lake, and that was, like I said, one like kind of the original front of the hotel. And if you were standing there and looking back at the hotel, you can see that there is a entranceway both to the first floor and the second and third floors that you're like, oh yeah. I don't know, you can kind of see it. And when you look at early promotional material for Disney World and for the Contemporary Resort, you'll see that so much of it is from that side because people were using Bay Lake for a lot of different water sports. Oh my God, didn't I say I wasn't going to do history? Oh, well. So, I mean, really, though, up until 10, 15 years ago, you could still do things like parasailing over Bay Lake. And so Bay Lake was really, really designed Bay Lake was always original, but Contemporary Resort facing Bay Lake was really designed for all these like 1970s families and solos and adults going to Florida and swimming and parasailing and water skiing and all these cool things on the lake. And it was like you weren't really going to Magic Kingdom. You were going to Walt Disney World that included all of these things that you could see at the Contemporary. There are also these little kind of garden-facing bungalows. Bungalows aren't really quite the right word, but there is the main kind of A-shaped tower that the monorail goes through, and then you'll notice that on the other side there are these like lower buildings, and those are rooms as well. Like you can stay in those rooms now, but it's weird because you would think that if you're going to make these cool standalone rooms, you would want them close to Magic Kingdom, but no, they are really facing the water because they were kind of premium rooms where you were on, like you had beachfront. So that's what I mean about like the ghosts and the haunting of like other things that they had envisioned in the 1970s that you can still see echoes of today, which I just think are really, really cool. So, I mean, one of the things that you can do if you are going solo and you have time and interest is that you can walk the property, like go and walk around the waterfront, go take a look at take one of the boats. There is a marina there, and there is a boat that in the afternoons that goes to Wilderness Lodge, Fort Wilderness, and then back in this little triangle. Just go take that boat, walk along the beach, like really kind of explore this outdoor space. And if you are like me, then you can also imagine what it would have been like in the 1970s when people were using this as like main real estate. But of course now, because of the fireworks and the way people take vacations now, the emphasis on Contemporary, or the emphasis of the footprint of the Contemporary, is faced in completely opposite direction of how it was envisioned in the 70s. And that's kind of interesting. Sometimes those things make me really sad. Like purpose-built things in history that are no longer used. But I don't know why I don't feel as sad with the Contemporary. I mean, obviously I don't feel sad for the Disney Corporation. They're doing fine. The Contemporary was also always planned as a conference resort, and you can really see that when you are outside on that original kind of entranceway of the hotel to see how there were stairs that led right up to the floor where all of the conference rooms are. So it really was always designed to be a conference type hotel. And again, like that shouldn't be a surprise. A lot of hotels that were built in the early 20th century all the way through the mid 20th century, and now of course too, although I guess different now as well, had big ballrooms that were meant for conferences and things like that. In fact, fun fact, in 1973 in the Ballroom of the Americas, so one of those ballrooms that are on that third floor, Richard Nixon gave his "I'm not a crook" speech because like it was a cool place to go. So yeah, it has a lot of history. And there's a fun fact about the Polynesian around the same time, but I will leave that until the Polynesian Resort. But there you go. Watergate. Sorry that this is such a history episode. Please go on to YouTube because it's easier to comment on episodes on YouTube. And just like let me know if you want if you want me to stop apologizing after I say history stuff. Or if you're okay, like if you're okay with the apology because you're like, hurry up and move along, then that's okay too. Anyway, I don't know where I was. So Contemporary Resort, Richard Nixon. Yes, fun fact about Polynesian. I'll tell you that then. The Contemporary Resort has a whole conference center that is attached to it now, in addition to those same ballrooms. And that conference center was built in the 90s. I've never been in it. I have no reason to go into it, but anyway, you can go. You might be at a conference and you might check it out yourself. Okay, so let's say you're going to the Contemporary Resort. You're not staying there, you're just going. And let's say you walk over from Magic Kingdom. So first, it's a really easy walk. There is a sidewalk that is right there for you to walk. If you are leaving the Contemporary and going into Magic Kingdom, there is also a security checkpoint there. Also very, very easy. So let's just pretend we're going to do that walk. Well, we're going to back up though. Okay, if we're at Magic Kingdom and we're walking to the Contemporary Resort, we're still like in the Magic Kingdom geography, although we are outside, we're on that sidewalk. If you look to your left, right before you get to the security checkpoint, that won't matter if you're leaving Magic Kingdom, you might notice to your left. So again, you've left Magic Kingdom, you're walking on the sidewalk, and you're going towards Contemporary Resort. You haven't crossed that big street yet. You haven't hit the security checkpoint yet. You're just walking. Magic Kingdom, Tomorrowland is on your left. You might see a Disney bus to your left. You're going to see a lot of Disney buses to your right because that's where all the buses that are going to Magic Kingdom will drop you off. But you also might see a bus to your left, and it's kind of hidden behind a fence and trees, and you might not even notice. But let me tell you something, Solos. That is a Disney staff bus, and that Disney staff bus is about to drive underground under Magic Kingdom to the utilidors to drop off cast members, and you get to see that bus bay if you do the Keys to the Kingdom tour. So that's pretty cool. So if you're ever like walking and you're like, why is there a bus there? It's a staff bus, and it's going under Magic Kingdom. Very cool, very cool. Okay, so you are walking on that sidewalk, you pass the security, you're going to cross like a real street, and then you're at the Contemporary. You're going to probably go in the entrance that passes the buses. And see, what's so interesting about buildings like this that were built in the late 60s, early 70s, is that it is very nondescript. It's kind of ugly. It's like brutalist architecture that's really just concrete. Like when you go into the new Polynesian Tower, for example, it's gorgeous. There isn't a place that you could look that isn't gorgeous. But as you're walking to the Contemporary, you're like, this is a deluxe resort? Because that's just the style of architecture. It's called brutalist architecture, concrete, yada, yada, yada. So you walk into the lobby, and the lobby has been renovated over the last couple years to actually be a little bit more retro. But what you're going to find is, well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I find that the lobby actually feels quite tight and closed in. It feels like actually a very small space, and it's in such a contrast to some other spaces you're going to visit at the Contemporary. So don't plan on staying very long in the lobby. Like there isn't really much to do. I do want to point out, however, that there are some beautiful murals on these big round pillars. You're going to see those right away. They also have printed out some different photographs from different Imagineers and artists and things like that from the early days of building Walt Disney World. Super, super gorgeous. So go and take a look around for sure. But if you're like, oh, is this it? Yeah, that's it. That's all you're getting for the lobby. It's not a lot. If you are walking in from the buses and you look kind of straight ahead, you'll see that there is a little coffee shop. The coffee shop is right in front of the doors to the conference center. So that makes sense, right? If you are going to the conference, you grab a coffee on your way. I've mentioned on the podcast a few times that my mother is quite a snob about coffee. So I have gone to many places with her to find a coffee that she doesn't complain about. And this is not, like, we've never really stopped here to get a coffee. Like, it's a Joffrey's, it's fine. But there are other locations that have just been, I don't know, better. I mean, this is fine. It's just nothing, like I said in last week's episode, nothing to write home about. But if you have had a different experience, that is amazing. Please let me know. All right, but let's go back to where we were when we walked in with the buses. You're going to see this beautiful, like I said, round pillar. On the left, you're going to see the front desk where they can check you in. And if you turn that way, if you turn left, you are going to go to the end of the lobby. And on your right are going to be escalators up. That's where we're going to go in a second. But to your left is going to be Steakhouse 71, also the bathrooms. So Steakhouse 71, they just renovated that. So it is new, new-ish, Steakhouse 71, and there is a Steakhouse 71 lounge. It is a good restaurant. I really enjoyed it. I've celebrated my birthday here a couple years ago and had such wonderful experiences with the cast members. There are some beautiful murals inside that represent the castle and things like that. But it's so interesting because again, it's so reminiscent of 1970s architecture in that 1970s and 1960s is that these spaces were created to be very insular. So there's no windows, right? Whereas again, you look at the Polynesian Lounge and it is this infinity pool and all this outdoor seating that is very reminiscent of what people want today. But in the 70s, it was all very kind of closed in for a more sophisticated atmosphere. So there aren't any views or anything like that, but the food is really good. And like I said, there is a lounge and a bar, and you can go and just walk right in without a reservation, go sit at the bar, go sit at lounge seating, and pretty much order from the whole menu. And the last time I was there, that's exactly what I did. There were no reservations, but I walked right in. The experience, like, I don't drink alcohol, but the bartender made me a couple different non-alcoholic beverage options. He didn't make me feel weird or bad about it. It was really fun to, like, watch him, mixology, a couple drinks for me. I ate a whole bunch of stuff. It was a great experience. So if you're going solo, don't worry about the reservation. If you're going at night, then just walk up, go sit in the lounge, go sit at the bar. They do have breakfast as well. I think for that, you definitely will need a reservation. I don't think the bar is open then, but totally worth it. And it's also a great location if you're at Magic Kingdom and you're just feeling tired and overwhelmed and hot. And this is a great place to go get something to eat, and just kind of cool off, be around adults, even if there's going to be kids there, but it feels like an adult space, and then go back to the park. It's a good place to get your energy back up. The other thing is that there's a lot of framed photographs of, again, the early days of Walt Disney World and building Walt Disney World, building Magic Kingdom. And every time I'm there, I just love those photographs so much. So if nothing else, go and take a look at those photographs. Okay, so as we move up the other floors, I'm just going to say I might be getting the floor numbers wrong, and I apologize for that. I've tried to get, it's just second nature when I walk, so I don't really think about it, and I've tried to find maps, and they don't give me what I want, so I apologize in advance if the floor numbers are wrong. The information won't be wrong, but the floor numbers might be. Okay, so you take the escalator up. The escalator, again, is right across from Steakhouse 71, and you are going to hit the second floor. Again, you can get stairs from outside, from that view facing Bay Lake, right up into that floor. It feels giant and cavernous, the second floor, because it is all conference space, and it is space that I'm sure is very full when there are conferences, but feels very, very empty when there's not. But you can go and like fall asleep in some corner if you want, because it usually is very, very empty. I have seen that sometimes the Disney, like Disney recreation staff, like the staff that's by the pool, will run activities in one of those rooms when the weather is bad. So you can go check that out. And if I believe it's this floor, maybe it's the fourth floor. I'm pretty sure it's this floor where you can check in. Actually, I'm going to look that up. 1 second. Okay, I was right. I have to just trust my instincts a little bit more. Okay, on the second floor as well, there is a podium there. And that is where, if you are going up to California Grill or to do the celebration at the top, sip, sparkle, and savor experience, that is where you check in. That is where the elevators are up to the 14th floor for the California Grill and all of that stuff. It really isn't to keep people away from those locations, but that is the effect, which I think is good because a lot of people, because it has great views of the fireworks, and so people could go up without like paying for dinner or whatever. So that is where the podium is to go and check in and then get permission to go up on the elevator. Now, speaking of the celebration at the top, I did talk about that maybe 6 or 8 months ago, about one of the things that you shouldn't do solo. So that is one of the enchanting extras. I did it last year for my birthday. I wasn't solo for that, but I do feel like doing it solo might feel awkward if you aren't used to eating alone. And if you are interested in just like upscale food and to see the fireworks, I would recommend going to California Grill for dinner versus that particular thing. I think it is better to go with others. So please go listen to that episode. It was like things not to do solo at Disney, and that was one of them. Also on the second floor, you might see a room that says Disney Institute. So Disney has a professional development, like learning branch. And last year they opened a dedicated space in the Contemporary for some like immersive in situ training, which is pretty cool. I was in contact with one of the like managers of Disney Institute around that time, and he was like testing out all the different rooms and the technology, and he was really excited when it opened. So that was really cool. You can give them a little mental nod when you see them. Not a lot of people spend time on the second floor, so let's move on up to the third floor, and you can just continue the escalators up to the third floor. And you remember when I said that the lobby feels really kind of closed in and tight, like surprisingly so? Well, when you get to the third floor, it is the exact opposite feeling. It is the most big and expansive and airy space that you are going to see. It is quite incredible. So when you get to the third floor, you are in this open, big public area because you're going to see the monorail right there. In fact, like the Contemporary Resort main building is faced like an A. And so now you are in the middle of that A. You're in all of that aired space right in the A. And it's really quite incredible. It's really quite breathtaking. There are rooms, all the hotel rooms are stacked, and they all have their own like little balconies, so that faces out, but it's the hallways of the hotel that you're looking at. And again, it's so impressive. And this is why you need to go to the Contemporary Resort, because of how iconic it is. One of the things that you're going to see is like a 10-story mural by Mary Blair, who did the It's a Small World, all that artwork. And it's this beautiful mural, tiled mural of just like people in a mountain, and it's very cool, it's very retro, and it's very old school Disney. So you definitely have to go and take a look. And while you're up there, you do have a couple different options of things to eat or buy if you're interested. So first there is the Contemporary Café, or the Contempo Café. Now this is not an enclosed space. You might be like, oh, am I in the right place? Yeah, it's all just big and open. So it's their quick service restaurant. restaurant, and I have always gotten some really cool things here. If you have dining credits, like this is the place to use your quick service dining credits. One time I got like a lobster roll and a giant cupcake and like a giant iced tea, which is like my dream lunch, BTW. And I got to use my quick service credit, and it was like, it just felt like ka-ching, like I felt like I hit the lottery. So definitely go and check out the Contempo Café. So remember when I said if you need a break from Magic Kingdom, you can go and have a sit down at Steakhouse 71. Well, the same thing. You can go up to Contempo Café and do that as well. And it's because it's quick service, it's a lot less formal. There is seating kind of in Contempo Café, even though it's really just one big open space. There's also some tables that are kind of in the slant facing out to Bay Lake. It's not quite as nice as I just made it sound. There is definitely something, sometimes I feel like this floor needs like a very deep, thorough clean, that doesn't just get the like days residue off, but that does a bit of a scrub from the like cigarette smoke from 30 years ago. So I can imagine this being a very nice, kind of serene, but it does feel kind of old. Like the renovation that they did in the lobby didn't necessarily make it up here yet. So sometimes it does feel a little bit like a 1990s cafeteria vibe. It's hard, like, I don't know how to say it. Like, if you're looking for just kind of an upscale place to eat something casual, you're not going to find it. But if you're finding a place to like get good casual food and see iconic Disney, this is a good place for it. So go for the food, and know that it's retro vibes you're going for, not necessarily like pristine vibes. I'm sure they've scheduled some sort of renovation for that after the gorgeous renovation of the lobby, but there you go. Next to the Contempo Café is Chef Mickey's. Chef Mickey's is a character dining experience for all 3 meals, and it is very full all the time, and a lot of people say that it's overrated because it's hectic and the food isn't that good, and also I think the acoustics, because everything is just open, it probably feels very hectic. I agree. I've never been to Chef Mickey's because I haven't heard like literally anything stellar about it. I do agree that if you were going for a character breakfast, especially solo, going to Topolino's Terrace is a way better option, way more upscale. You get to see the same folks, like all of that. So Chef Mickey's is there as well. The map also says there is a bar called the Outer Rim Lounge. And to be honest, I've never really noticed it. I have noticed there's a bar, but I've never really like taken note as a place to go and hang out. So I guess it's like if you really need a drink, then you can go there. But if you don't really need a drink, then maybe wait till Steakhouse 71 opens or California Grill opens and then get something a little bit more sophisticated. Kind of imaginative, like dads and uncles being like, yeah, just like give me like 10 minutes, like anyway. So you have all the food on one side. On the other side, you have a ton of shops. So there is a little like quick service type store. I have never seen it, but it's there apparently. There's also a very big like place just to get regular merchandise and also then merchandise like toys and stuff. I really enjoy looking in those stores. I always kind of see things I haven't seen before. And I also just like the setup of the store. It's kind of nice and open, and you can browse without people getting in your way, and the staff are really friendly, so you can go and get some stuff there. And of course you can also find merchandise there that you might see in Magic Kingdom and you don't have to wait in a big long line, and that's great too. Just a reminder that if you have a Magic Band and you're staying on Disney property, it doesn't matter where you are, you can charge all of your stuff to your Magic Band, so charge away. Now there's 2 places that we can go from here. There is another thing I want to highlight to you on the third floor, but I also want to highlight a different restaurant. I was just going to say, what do you think? Of course, you can't answer me. Actually, before either of those options, let me tell you one other thing that happens on the third floor. So during Christmas time, they have a big display of gingerbread like they do at Grand Floridian, but remember, there isn't going to be a Grand Floridian gingerbread house this year, so you can go check out the Contemporary. It's not quite as impressive as the Grand Floridian is, although, like I said in the last couple episodes, Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club, those are very impressive. Animal Kingdom at Christmas, very impressive. Definitely go check those out. Contemporary Resort is impressive. It's not the most impressive that I've seen, but they do have a little store where you can get some gingerbread stuff and snacks and things like that. And I have often done that because I am so overwhelmed with the amount of people at Grand Floridian. So you can go check that out as well. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're on the third floor. We are as far away from Chef Mickey's as we can be. If you, and again, you walk through the store, you're at the end of the store, you're looking towards Magic Kingdom, right? If you're looking at Magic Kingdom and then you look to your right, you're going to see an exit or an entry. And that does a couple things. Number one, it will take you to the Skyway Bridge, which will take you to the Bay Lake Tower. Bay Lake Tower is a part of the Contemporary Resort, but it is DVC, Disney Vacation Club. Again, you can get a room here as well, even if you aren't a DVC member. You can also rent other people's DVC points to get like a deal and all that stuff, so you can go and check that out. There isn't really much at Bay Lake Tower if you aren't staying there, so we're not going to talk about Bay Lake Tower, but there is a pathway to the Bay Lake Tower. But not only is there a pathway to the Bay Lake Tower if you are at that exit, there's also an outdoor seating area and there is a stairway. So first, that outdoor seating area is faced right at Magic Kingdom, which means you can see the fireworks, and there are chairs there, and it was designed as a viewing platform for that very thing. It is not very sexy or romantic. It is very much like a 1967 concrete building that they thought was going to be cool and futuristic, because that is what it is. So you can go see the fireworks from there. That's really great. But again, don't envision this sexy romantic spot. It feels very concrete, brutalist architecture, utilitarian. That's what it is. It can't be anything than what it is. I don't know if any of you remember the first season of Project Runway when they had Daniel Franco, who was like a tailor and he thought very highly of himself. In the very first episode, I think, they had to make stuff out of unusual materials, and he got butcher paper, and the critiques he got on the runway was that it looks too much like butcher paper, and Daniel Franco said, "It is butcher paper. I can't make it do anything other than what it was designed to do." He was eliminated that episode. Spoiler. However, the concrete brutalist architecture of the Contemporary Resort is the same thing. We can't make it do anything other than what it was designed to do, which is brutalist architecture. I mean, of course, like I said, there are spots like the lobby and the renovation that has done different things with it. But anyway, you can go out and see the fireworks from there. But there's also stairs. Again, brutalist concrete stairs that are on the outside of the building. They are covered a little bit, but they're outside. You can take those stairs all the way up to the 14th floor. And if you are able to, I recommend doing that because you can also see the fireworks from that vantage point, and that is a much better vantage point. In fact, it is such a great vantage point that there is a restaurant there, the California Grill, and special events like Sip, Savor, and Sparkle, Celebration at the Top, that makes use of that very space. And you can use it for free without paying for anything if you go up those outside stairways. So first, I apologize. I mean, it's nothing to do with me, I guess. I apologize that this is something that not everybody can do because of their own physical bodies. Not everyone can walk up all those stairs. but if you are able to, then it's a pretty cool thing to do. I definitely have like wanted to go try that out. Maybe when I'm there in a couple weeks, I'll see about trying that out to see how easy that is. So when you get to the 14th floor, there, again, the Contemporary Resort is shaped like an A. So on one side of the A, there is a viewing platform for the California Grill. On the other side of the other bar of the A, there is another viewing platform. It's not attached to the California Grill viewing platform. It's a completely separate one. When they do the celebration at the top, they close that off just for people who are paying for that event. But when they are not doing that event, it is open for the public. In fact, it was when I did the celebration at the top, they opened it to the public as soon as the fireworks were over. So I guess if you just wanted that view, you could go up and see it as well. So it might feel like you're sneaking up, but you're not really. It's just not something that they publicize because they don't want like a horde of people. It's just one of these like cool secret things that you can find at Disney. So definitely if you are going solo and you don't have a reservation at California Grill or something, and you are able to walk up 10 flights of stairs, then go and check that out. It's really, really cool. It's just cool too because it does kind of feel like sneaking. It's not though. It feels like something that's kind of special, not a lot of people know about, and yeah, it's definitely cool. So definitely go try that if you are solo. And I will try on my next trip to try to make that trip to show you what that's like on a video or something. But now that we're on the 14th floor, let's talk about the California Grill. California Grill is a signature dining restaurant that's on, again, the 14th floor of the Contemporary Resort. It is really great and upscale and feels really different than other restaurants on Disney property. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. And even when you have to use an elevator to go up or down, and every time I'm waiting for the elevator up or down, I'm always actually really surprised by the people that I'm seeing. I'm like, you've been at Disney all day? Like, I don't know. It feels very different, but it is a great restaurant to splurge if you are going solo and want this nice experience. When the fireworks happen, all of the lights turn down and they pipe in the music from the fireworks show right into the California Grill. If you have a window seat, you can see it right from there, but there's also a viewing platform that people go out on, and you can go and get just like a drink at the bar, and if you do, you can come back for the fireworks. But if you can get a reservation during the fireworks, that's great as well. I would highly recommend this restaurant. It is great. It's just, I don't know, I was going to say nothing fancy. It is fancy. It's a signature dining restaurant, but I don't know, like it's not, I don't know. It just feels really like great and upscale. And see, I want to say like nothing pretentious. That's not true. It is kind of pretentious. I don't know. I would highly recommend it. It's a prix, which means you pay one price and you get 3 different courses. It's $90 per adult. And I would highly recommend it. Everything I've eaten there has been really, really good. The cast members, the staff have been amazing. Some people have been like servers at that restaurant for 10, 20 years. People have been going to that restaurant for 10, 20, 30 years. Okay, this is a funny story. A few years ago, I was there, and I wasn't there solo. I was there with my mother. I think it was her birthday trip, and we were eating dinner, and all of a sudden, this guy stands up, and he said, "It's my anniversary with my wife today. It's like 19 years. It was a number that wasn't like a fancy number, like 20 or 25 or 30. And I want to sing a song for her." And so everyone was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." So he stands up and he starts singing, I think it was like Lady in Red. And people were like, "Oh, that's really sweet." And they clapped. And then he kept singing. Not only did he keep singing solos, he started walking around the dining room showing pictures of his wife to customers and would again break out in song. Meanwhile, his wife was sitting there in like a big heavy coat and running shoes. It was like she just would much rather have just been at home and like cozied up. Like she did not care about any of this stuff. And here he is walking around, singing, showing pictures. And you could see that the cast members, like the wait staff were like, oh my God, what do we do? And then the management had to come over, and it was just really funny because I couldn't hear the conversation that management had with him, but they were like so enthusiastic and smiling. It seemed like they were hiring him to be like a lounge singer for the rest of the time. Like that's how enthusiastic they were. And then he like nodded and went and sat back down again. So, I mean, obviously they were like, buddy, yeah, no, you need to go and sit down. But it was really funny. So I kind of think of California Grill as a place that is just like this slice of non-Disney Disney and Disney non-Disney, that these other things that are related to like adult life can happen. I don't know, but I hope you go to that restaurant, and if you do, I also hope that he is there singing Lady in Red to his wife that would much rather have been sleeping. Okay, what else do I need to tell you about Contemporary Resort? Well, if you are staying there, if you are staying there as a guest, then you have access to the 3 different pools that Disney has available for the Contemporary Resort guests. There is a big pool with a slide like all the deluxe resorts. There is kind of a small quiet pool that's round that's been around since the 70s as well. And then Bay Lake Tower has its own little hidden pool as well, and that also has a slide. There are 2 different pool bars. One is around Bay Lake, and that's called Cove Bar. I've never been there myself. There is one as well called the Sand Bar, and that is so when you are exiting the Contemporary Resort, you're going towards Bay Lake, you'll see these kind of 2 buildings before you get to the pools. One of those is a pool bar, the other one is a marina. There's also bathrooms there, and so you can go check that bar out as well. The bar is kind of far from the pool. One of the things I like about pool bars when I go to a pool bar, even if I'm not swimming in that pool, is that you get to like look at the water, and you get to like, like kind of watch the water, and it's kind of refreshing. This place feels like you're just like picking up food from a kiosk, and then you have to bring it to your location. So it just kind of feels a little different. I would actually much rather pick up food from Contempo Café and then bring it down to find a spot on the beach or whatever where you can kind of enjoy it more. So anyway, there's a pool bar there. There's also a fitness center, and what you'll find in the solo story that I did with Francine is I said to her, like, what about the gym? And she's like, there's a gym? And then I had to look it up because it was so confusing that I could not picture where the gym was. And I have looked up pictures of the gym, and I cannot believe that that's what the gym looks like now. So I have asked some people to take some pictures. I haven't gotten any of those pictures, but when I'm there next time, I'll see if I can get some pictures of the gym for you as well. Like I said, this resort has a marina. It also has a boat launch, and you can take that boat to the Wilderness Lodge, Fort Wilderness, and just do that little kind of 3-stop trip. It's free, so that's easy. You can take the boat to Wilderness Lodge and then take the boat from Wilderness Lodge to Magic Kingdom. I love Disney boats, so any excuse to be on the water is fine with me. And I think that's all I have to say about the Contemporary Resort. But we are going to do a nice solo story about what it's like to stay there. So stay tuned. And next week, it's going to be a different resort. Still haven't decided which one. I also can't wait for the surprises in August. And I can't wait for my own Disney trip. Please let me know if you're heading to Disney in August and what your trip is going to be like. Please let me know if you have any questions about these deluxe resorts. If I got anything wrong, please let me know. Until next time, bye. Francine, hello. Welcome to Disney
Hello.
Solo Magic. I'm so excited to talk with you about the Contemporary Resort.
I am so excited to talk with you as well. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Francine. Been a Disney fan since I was, I guess, about 3 years old, which was a very long time ago. I have a Disney blog, podcast, travel, all sorts of stuff online. I just love it. Everything Disney, it just brings me joy. And I just want other people to enjoy it like I do.
I know it is so joyful, and it's so joyful like talking to people about just like going there and being joyful. Like just go, trust me, trust us. It'll be great.
It'll be great. You will love it. I promise.
And we might have a chance to talk to each other again because I know that you are a DVC member, but we'll kind of keep that a little bit to the side for this episode. But we are talking about contemporary, which you've been to a lot because that
Yes.
is your home resort as a DVC member, right?
Yes, Bay Lake Tower is my home resort, which is just connected to the Contemporary. So it's like the DVC arm of the Contemporary.
Right. Okay. So tell us about your experiences going to the contemporary, staying at the contemporary, especially solo. And by
Yes,
contemporary, like I'm conflating them. It's been really funny because like in my brain, so many of like the DVC parts are just conflated, and
they
everyone
are.
I've interviewed like always kind of separate them. And I'm like, okay, I guess I should start separating them. But when I say contemporary, I
It's
also
the
include Bay
same.
Lake Tower.
Yeah, because they're all together. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, that was why I bought into Bay Lake Tower because the Contemporary is my favorite resort on Walt Disney World property. So I've stayed in every resort on property at least once. And that is my favorite. It was the very first hotel we stayed at when I was 3 years old. And so, of course, there's nostalgia with it. But it really is, in my opinion, like one of the most magical resorts on property, hands
I
down.
I love that so much because I love the aesthetics of the contemporary because they are such a throwback because it was one of two original resorts. But I don't think of it as a particularly magical place. And I'm putting that in air quotes for those who aren't watching on the Patreon. And so can you tell us a little bit like why it's magical for you? Because I
It
love it when my mind gets changed.
Yes. So, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. One of the great things about the Contemporary, because you touched on it, it's one of the original resorts, which means the rooms are bigger. So as the resorts are getting built year after year, the rooms are getting smaller and smaller. But those original resorts, the rooms are actually quite large. So I love it for that. But just for the resort itself, where else can you sit inside a resort and watch a monorail come through the middle? Like, I don't care 1970, 71 or 2025, that is magical. Watching the monorail come in, people get on, people get off, and it goes to the magic like there's nothing more magical than that, in my
I love
opinion.
it. I love
Yes.
it. Are the rooms like I'm thinking of like the studio rooms in particular? Are the studio rooms in Bay Lake Tower as big as you're saying? You're already
No.
shaking your head no, because
No.
you're like the rooms are getting smaller, and so
They
I'm
are.
thinking about Bay Lake because that was opened not that long ago. I think it's less than 10 years old.
It might be a little more than that. I feel like I've been a member for 12 or 13,
Okay,
so maybe in there. Um, but the rooms, so the studios are much smaller. The
right.
one and two bedrooms are huge. And they are, in fact, very few of the DVC rooms, when you get a one bedroom, do you get two bathrooms. And at Bay Lake Tower, you get two bathrooms in a one bedroom. But the
So
room,
for
like the
solos
studios are,
going who want
yeah.
privacy, sleeping, and privacy from themselves to go to the bathroom, I hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can go to both. But so the studios are fine just for a solo. They really are. Like I've stayed in them lots of times just by myself, but they are smaller rooms. So, they're perfect for a solo traveler. But if you have more than two or three adults in the room, it's cramped. But in the contemporary tower, those rooms are big. They are big. Like I would share that room with three other adults, no problem.
Well, if any solos are going and want to share with you, now we know.
Yeah. Now you know.
I didn't ask you this question beforehand, but have you ever stayed in like the little, like the, what are they called? Like the townhouse villa style, but old school, that are outside the contemporary, but the
Oh, the
original
garden
buildings?
wing?
Yeah, is that what it's
Yes.
called? The garden wing?
Yes, the
Yeah,
garden wing. Yeah, I've stayed in the garden wing a few times because that's what used to be where Bay Lake Tower is. There were two garden wings, the one
right,
on either side. But yes, I've stayed in those as well. They're the same size as the
right.
contemporary tower rooms.
Right. And so for solos, you're saying that like really there isn't a difference between like there isn't necessarily a preference. You can do fine with a studio.
Yes,
But if you get a other room in like the
in the
tower,
tower.
expect a bigger room.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot bigger. Um and it's just and being in the tower, there's some kind like there's electricity in the tower. When in Bay Lake Tower when you open the door, it's just the hallway. Like
Mm,
there's nothing in that building itself other than the community hall down in the like at the lobby. But in the hall there's nothing else inside. So if you're in that hotel, it's because you're staying there.
right.
But when you walk across the bridge and you're in the contemporary tower, it's like electric. The energy within those like the concourse when you see the people going to Chef Mickey's and the Contempo Café, which I believe is one of the best quick services in the resorts. I think where else can you sit and have a hamburger and watch a monorail go by?
Yeah. So just so we're all clear for everybody listening, it's always going to come back to that, and that is perfect. I love it.
Yes. Yes.
So
It's
once again,
fantastic.
can you hear the monorail though from the contemporary tower rooms, and is that annoying?
So I don't think you can hear it. The rooms, like the doors are pretty heavy. When it's like if you're on one of the lower floors right above Chef Mickey's, you can hear some of the kids. Um, but it's not annoying. It's
Yeah,
not annoying. But when you're leaving your room and you open the door and you get step out into that hall and you're overlooking it, that's where you feel the real energy.
I love it. I love it. And is that energy just like static cling from 1970s carpet combined with cigarette smoke from the 1970s? I was actually looking at pictures of the contemporary this past weekend, and I didn't realize it had a disco for like over a decade.
Oh, up on the top of the world. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah,
It's so cool.
it was back in the 70s, it was I would say the biggest thing that was the best then was the games room on the
Mm.
ground floor. There was a massive games room that took up like a quarter of the main floor and it
Wow.
had every pinball game, it had a little movie theater. It was incredible. I wish they still had it, but now it's Steakhouse 71.
Well, that's, I mean, it's not a terrible restaurant.
That's not terrible
So,
either.
yeah.
Yep.
So let me ask you a question. I feel like I'm jumping around, but when you said that you really like Bay Lake because it's very quiet, and so people aren't just walking around that aren't staying there, does that feel isolating in a way that if a solo was going, it would feel unsafe?
I actually think it's a little of the reverse. Like I feel very safe in that tower because you don't actually see a lot of people in the hallways. And the way the hallways are, they're just kind of wrapped around. I have but I guess I'm probably biased because I have never been anywhere at any of the resorts solo and felt unsafe.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
I mean, let's always consistently the answer. Every time I
Yes.
ask somebody, they're always like, "No, it's really safe." And I was like, "No, I know. I
I
know it's
know.
yeah."
The only thing that has ever concerned me being solo on a vacation was probably one of my recent ones at Coronado Springs, walking back at night to my room.
Mm,
Not a safety issue for people or things like that, but I'm always concerned with snakes where there's lots of grass. So
right,
being by myself, that was my concern, but
right,
never anything else.
right. I mean,
The
that's
only
not
one that makes me nervous.
yeah, that's not the worst thing to be scared of.
Exactly.
So, how about something like when you're staying at the Contemporary, either in the original tower or Bay Lake, and you want to get breakfast? You want to get something quickly for breakfast, or you're coming back from the parks at the end of the night and you want to get, like a drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, but just like something quick and easy to bring up to your room or to eat quietly. Like, are those options available for you when you are staying there, or does it feel like you are with all the crowds that are using that as a place to also visit?
Right. I think the Contemporary is probably one of my favorite for eating alone.
Hmm.
Um, It's, you know, so the Contempo Cafe, the quick service there, you have the mural to look at, you have the people coming by. There's always activities, so there's something for you to watch that isn't that I don't know, it just doesn't feel so quote unquote lonely when you've got all these people and things going on around you. Um it's open late, so when you come back, they serve things like flatbreads and things like that are easy to take back to your room if you want. Steakhouse 71 also has to go if you're staying in the
Right.
Contemporary and Bay Lake Tower, which is phenomenal. If you're sick of flatbread and burgers, you can get a phenomenal meal from Steakhouse 71 and take that back to your room. Or they have pretty much full service at the bar there in
Yeah,
Steakhouse
I've eaten at the
71.
bar there. The bartenders were fantastic, and I don't even
Yeah.
drink alcohol, but they created some great mocktails for me. I think that you can also mobile order to go from Steakhouse
Yep.
71 if I'm correct, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes it so much easier. And there, if you do like alcohol or you do just want to sit and have a drink and chill, my favorite little bar is called the Out of Rim. And that is just beside the Contempo Cafe and next to the entrance to Chef Mickey's. And it's small, it doesn't have a lot of seating, but it's just quiet and there's a nice bartender, and yeah, it's a great place to just grab a drink and chill and relax a little bit.
There's also the area that's the floor up, I'm pretty sure, that is just like a lot of seating because it also is like to attend to conference crowds. So you can
Yes,
find like a quiet place to like bring some takeout there if you wanted, right?
absolutely. Yeah, and it's very quiet. That's always usually like a hidden little gem if you just need quiet. That's a good spot too.
And you need a bathroom.
Yes.
Whenever I'm in the contemporary, I'm always like, ooh, do I need to go to the bathroom in a quiet location? Just like when you just don't need like kids everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. On that floor, there's lots of just quietness,
Yeah.
especially during the day. And then after dinner, that's where the check-in is for the California Grill,
Right.
is on
Right.
that floor. Right.
Right.
So that's really the only other reason people are there if it's not a conference.
Right. So do you ever use like the pools or the gym or like those amenities that are just for guests? And what is that like? If I remember correctly, Contemporary has two pools, one specifically for DVC and then one for like the general contemporary population. Is that correct?
There's the two over at the Contemporary, one with like a big water slide, and then
Yes.
there's just the circular one in the middle. It's very small and it has the cabanas next to it.
Hmm.
And then Bay Lake Tower actually has its own pool for DVC. So that has a separate pool. I will be honest, I don't use the amenity. I don't use the pool when I'm solo. I don't know why. It's not like I'm nervous about it or anything. I'm never nervous or uncomfortable when I'm solo in Disney, but it just I never feel like I want to go swimming when I'm by myself. It's just yeah, it's just not
Yeah.
something I ever do. Do you do
It,
it? Do you go by
yeah,
yourself swimming?
yes, yes, I love a quiet pool. It's like an ongoing joke on the podcast, actually. That's why I like moderates because I'm just like, oh, I got this pool to myself. I was gonna say being in Canada, but we learned actually before that we're kind of neighbors. But yeah, I just like love floating in water by myself. I went to Fort Wilderness this past summer and it was like at the end of the day, and I was like, I still just want to go swimming. And it was poured rain. So I just floated in the pool in pouring rain, and it was heaven.
Nice. You know what? It's something I've never done, but you're kind of I might have to try it just to see what it's like to just enjoy that by myself on a solo trip.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I mean, you've stayed at all the resorts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so those quiet pools, especially at the moderates, they're so immersive that it feels like part of the experience to like be in the bayou floating or
Yeah,
or
that's
like
true.
being, well, I mean, the Caribbean aren't super themed, but there's that one pool that you can also see the Riviera and the not the monorail, the
The
Skyliner,
Skyliners.
and it's
Oh,
just
right.
like great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I have to try it.
Yeah.
You're inspiring me.
Please, please. I love a quiet pool. And it's interesting because I spoke to somebody for another episode, and she was like, when I go by myself, I often will not go to the parks. I'll just hang out at the pools and the resorts. And so it depends on everyone's own like preferences. Have you
Yeah.
used those pools though, even if you've never been solo?
Oh, yes. Yeah. On other occasions, I've used them both.
And do
Yeah.
you have a preference? Like, if an adult was going to go, is there like one pool that is better than the other pools?
I think the circular pool over at the Contemporary just tends to be quieter
Yeah.
than the one, the ones with the water slides are where all the kids are going. So the
Yeah.
circular one is a little bit quieter. And yeah, so that would probably be the one that I would tell people to go check out.
Yeah. And it's right on the lake too, which is
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
it
Yeah.
is.
So
And
those
it's one of the
amenities I'm
original
not you.
pools.
It is. I
Yeah.
actually, fun fact, I learned how to swim in that pool.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah. I did. I did. I had my little water wings and everything. Yeah. So it is a nice pool out there. I've never used those solo. But the other amenities at the resorts I have done by myself, some of those art classes. You know how they
Yeah.
have those class things and
Yes.
stuff at the resorts? Those are fantastic when you're solo. I had
100%.
no idea.
Yeah. I did a mosaic one at Contemporary, and I was really worried I was going to be the only adult. I was worried about the adultness, not the soloness. And I got up to where we were all waiting. And I texted a friend, and I was like, it's all middle-aged women, and half of them here by themselves. Yeah, it was great.
Yep. It was great. That's the same one I did.
Yeah. Oh,
And
maybe we were there at the same time.
there were only two kids in the class and they sat them both with me. Their whole family was at the other table and the two little boys were sitting with me, but they were a ton of fun.
Yeah. No, yeah, that was super awesome. Yeah, so I mean, I guess because of how the lobby is set up there, I've never seen them promote those activities at Contemporary. So, which activities do they do? Painting? They do mosaic as well? Do they do both?
Yeah, yeah,
Or I
they
guess
do
it
both.
depends.
And I have seen them also do the tie-dye t-shirts there at different
Yes.
times. So it seems like it's just dependent on the schedule, like whatever the schedule is, which activities they're doing.
Right. And do you know where the gym is there?
No.
Okay. Okay. I
No.
don't
I'm
either.
just
I've
laughing
never
because
even seen it there.
I'm not necessarily, I'm more of a cupcake person than a gym person. So
100%.
I,
100%.
it's so not my thing, but I'm sure there's a nice one somewhere.
No, it's because I've just okay. Also, I've never been at a gym at a hotel. Like, why would you work out on vacation? I don't understand that. But I've seen the gyms at the other deluxe resorts. Like at Riviera, you pass it all the time. A
Hmm.
boardwalk, it's kind of like I've seen the other ones, but I've never seen it at Contemporary.
I don't know that there is one
There
now that I
has to
think of
be.
it. I can't imagine where it would be at the Contemporary. I'll have to
Okay.
look that
Yeah,
up.
I know. I'm
I
like,
d-
now I want to look at.
yeah, because I'm trying to think. I don't think I wouldn't even know where it would be.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I want to look it up right now because
Of course, yeah.
we both don't know. That
We both
seems
don't
bizarre.
know.
And
And
meanwhile,
yeah.
so it's funny you say cupcakes because at the Contempo Cafe, this was, I guess, like over like maybe 15 years ago. I was on the dining plan and I was there with somebody else, and we went to Contempo Cafe and we got a frozen cupcake, like the movie Frozen. It
Yeah.
was the biggest cupcake I've ever seen, ate, and a lobster roll as part of the dining plan. And we were like, this is amazing.
This is the best place ever.
Do you have a favorite thing that you recommend people try at the Contempo Cafe?
I usually, I've eaten probably everything on their menu, and they do change up their menu every once in a while. I enjoy the flatbreads there.
Uh-huh.
I love their spicy chicken sandwich as well. And they also have usually a Dole Whip cupcake. So
Ooh.
yeah, it's not. I don't know that it tastes a lot like Dole Whip, but it usually has. It's one of those cupcakes that has a lot of icing on the top and then icing in the middle of the cake. So it's like
Oh,
double the
yes.
icing.
Yes.
which is kind of nice, you know, because you can never have enough icing.
No, especially if you're going to go to the gym, which is called the
Exactly.
Olympiad Fitness Center, and it's on the third floor with
Really?
free weights and a cardio kicking machine, as if
So
one
it's
would
on
want
the
that.
third floor. So then that's on the convention floor.
Well, that makes sense, right? There's a
I
lot of
guess.
doors there.
Yeah. So maybe it's behind one of those doors. See, you
Yeah.
learn something new every day.
Okay, well, I don't know if
Not that
this is
I'm
a
going to
gym.
go, but
I don't know if this is a gym heavy podcast listener audience, but I am interested now in getting the review of this gym. It has life
yes.
cycles, treadmills, bicycle, ellipticals.
Huh.
So, and if you want to pump some iron, it says that there, free weights and weight machines. So,
Oh,
that sounds
wow.
terrible.
Yeah.
Let's go back to
Not
those stuffed cupcakes.
Yeah, let's talk cupcakes.
Yeah.
Well, and they also have, if you've got a sweet tooth, inside one of the gift shops at the Contemporary, they also have like a little window with fudge and other cupcakes and chocolate and all sorts of treats, like marshmallow
Yes.
treats and stuff too.
Well, that reminds me because a lot of the deluxe resorts, like their main little store also has some groceries, grab and go
Mhm.
groceries, because the DVC rooms have tiny little kitchens. And so I can't think of the store having that.
Oh, it's the store in the very back corner. So the
Okay.
Contemporary has three stores plus the arcade. So there's the one that has all of like the clothes and mugs
Mm-hmm.
and things like that and chocolates. Then the one in the middle has pins and different themed things. And in the very back corner is where they have the DVC merchandise, the store, like bread, milk, that kind of stuff as well.
So those two stores, those two first ones, you see when you come up the escalator. And then if you're going to Bay Lake Tower, you pass both of those, and that's where you get to the bridge. So where is that little store in relationship to that bridge?
If you're walking and you're going to go right to the bridge,
Uh-huh.
the store is on the left,
Interesting.
on the very left corner. Yeah,
So in my brain, that's where the gingerbread house would be during Christmas.
it's on the other side of that. It's
Interesting.
literally right in the corner, and
Okay,
it's just
well,
a tiny little thing.
all right, so that's also a place to look out for my next visit, the gym and the store to buy
The gym
bread.
in the
It sounds like
store.
a terrible
Yeah,
holiday.
yeah. Well, because it's right next to where that sort of observation deck is, which is another great place to watch fireworks. And if you're not in the parks at night, it's a great spot.
So that was my next question, that there are these places at the Contemporary Resort that are kind of public that you can see the fireworks, but they don't seem public because they're so sparse. So do
Mhm.
you make use of those spaces when you are there, solo or not, or even if you're not staying at the Contemporary Resort?
Yeah, I've gone over there a few times when I'm not staying there to watch the fireworks from there if I don't want to go into the park because it's a bit too busy.
Yeah.
If you're actually staying in the tower, you have a great vantage point because the stairwells at the end of the hallways are outside. So you
Oh,
can walk to the end of your hallway and stand on the stairwell and watch the fireworks from there. And it's even less crowded than that big. That's what actually when I was a kid, that's where my mom would take me to watch the fireworks was those stairwells.
right.
So yeah, they're all open and you can watch
In the
from
original
there
tower.
in
Yeah.
the original tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people will congregate on the bridge to watch from there between Bay Lake and the Contemporary. But yeah, there's a lot of great places. You can see them from the parking lot. Like
Right.
they're you're
Yes.
so close that yeah, there's lots of great places to watch them.
So I don't want to keep you that much longer, although I do feel like we could talk for a while about this. But are there, well, I guess I have a couple questions that all are kind of similar, but are there like particular spots that are extra special to you that you always just like to kind of nod at when you are there, especially when you're there solo? And the
It's
other
usually
question is, what is something you would recommend for a solo staying there? So it could be the same, it could be different, you know?
Good. Yeah, yeah. You know what? The Contempo Cafe is probably one of my favorite places outside of the parks to be.
Mm,
It's the energy that is in that, you know, you're staring at Mary Blair's mural and the monorail and the kids going to Chef Mickey's and that kind of that atmosphere. I just find it's so encompassing, even especially when you're by yourself and you
Mm,
can pay attention to what's going on around you and really just feel the joy from everybody else that's there. It's
yeah.
it really is just such a special spot.
I love that. I love that. And if you want to see where Francine learned how to swim, we
Yeah.
now know which
You
pool.
know?
And if we want to know where we would not go, there's also the gym on the third floor.
There you go. I
Yeah.
would not go to the gym on the third floor. They do have a really good arcade as well in the Contemporary. It's not huge, but it's a decent size arcade on the other side of those stores as well.
Yeah. I mean, I never talk about the arcades on this podcast because I assume it's not a thing solos would be that interested in. But it's interesting because that arcade is not hidden, whereas in some
Mhm.
hotels they're very hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's something I've gone to the arcade by myself just for something to do or
Yeah.
whatever, but they have those chairs in those arcades. That's the thing you don't want to miss out on. Are those chairs. So if you've been walking around for 10 hours on your feet or whatever and your legs are sore, they have massage chairs in these arcades that
Good
yeah,
point.
they're worth it. They're worth it.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to talk about the contemporary and share your passion about its magic. Any final things about the contemporary that we didn't get to cover that you think are important for solos to know?
I think if you're a Magic Kingdom fan,
Hmm.
the Contemporary is also fantastic for solo travel because you don't have to get in the crowds at the end of the night when you're leaving the Magic Kingdom. The monorails, the buses, all of that stuff. You can just walk back to your resort.
Yeah.
Like, how fantastic is that? And, in the afternoon, if you've got something to do, a little work, whatever you have to do, and you want to take a midday break, you get to walk back, which is super convenient when you're there by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds great. That sounds great. Well, thank you so much. How can people get in
Thank
touch
you.
with you? Because you are a travel agent. If people want to book a trip to Contemporary or elsewhere, you also have a podcast. So please, how can
Yeah.
people get in touch with you? And I should preface this to say all the links are below, so don't feel like anyone needs to write this down.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I just, wherever I can get more Disney in my life, I'm quite happy to do so. So you can find me online at Pixie Dust Fan. I have a big community on Facebook, and a blog online. The links will be below. And then I'm also co-owner of a travel agency, Playcation Travel. And we specialize in Disney Universal trips.
I love it. I love it. And what is your podcast about?
My podcast is my friend and I, we literally just talk all things Disney, sometimes a little Universal because, we do go there now and again. So yeah, we just focus on the happy things. We just find that there's just too much negativity in the world. So whatever we can talk about, it's trip reports. We've interviewed people. Sometimes we talk a lot about the Muppets. My co-host is a big Muppet fan.
All right.
So
All right.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I my thoughts and prayers are with her during this
Yeah.
difficult time of transition
Yes.
from the Muppets
That's
to
hard. Yeah.
another Muppet version at Hollywood Studios. But thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show, Sam. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
A big thanks to my special guest for talking about their experiences staying at this deluxe resort. If you want to support them as well as me, please make sure you follow us on our social media channels. The links to those are in the description below. You can also find a link to my Patreon. And in the Patreon, when you become a Patreon member, you can watch our conversation, the whole conversation of us talking. And I always find that that is a great way to just get even more enmeshed into the community of Disney adults and how wonderful it is to go to Disney solo. The Patreon membership is really affordable. It's about $1 a week for Americans and $1.25 a week for Canadians, and you get the videos from all the solo stories, reflections on each one of the episodes, as well as opportunities to vote on future episodes and a breakdown of all of the different upcoming episodes. There's also some bonus episodes that get thrown in every once in a while, and the more of you there are on Patreon, the more you can let me know what you need, and the more I can create those very things. You can also support the podcast by liking, reviewing, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast on all of the different platforms that this podcast is hosted on, which include Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!